keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther.
Flawless. I finally figured it out after a week. No hiccups. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Saturday Night Fights. Tonight we have a double header for you guys. Tonight's going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be this is going to be one of our better Saturday Night fights. Tonight in this particular episode, we've got Dr. Prothero joining us once again. It's great to have you back, Doctor. Good to see you.
Thank you. I enjoyed it here.
And also joining us again, I believe, Ali, it was last week you were with us. Is that correct?
Yeah, it just seems like yesterday.
It does.
Yeah, it was.
It does. Well, welcome back to you as well. And then following this episode, we've got a rematch between Fight the Flat Earth and Edgewise. And if you, well, I'm not going to say if you don't remember Edgewise, because you have to remember Edgewise. He is the gentleman that believes that dragons and eagles, fossilized, are scattered amongst the Sahara. Actually, we have someone that could speak to that, a genuine expert paleontologist and geologist here. Any truth to the fact that there could be dragons in Africa, Dr. Prothero?
Not in the sense he means it, where he looks at patterns of mountains from space and thinks they're fossils. The actual fossils are from Africa, but they're deeply buried, and you wouldn't know whether they're there until you excavated them. So it's a very different thing we're talking about.
I thought so. Just making sure. And Steve, how are you today, sir?
I'm awesome. First of all, I still can't get used to that poor kid's voice in the intro.
Oh, I know.
Okay, I'm a flat earther. It's heartbreaking. I just can't get over that. We're gonna have to find him, and hopefully he changes position. But
I think it's Mark Sargent.
Ali, it could be. It very could be. It could be a Mark Sargent's son. But Ali, you look well rested, so I'm glad that you got some sleep for this, because you're probably going to need it. But
I think I needed more, but here we go. Thank you very much.
This is a good pep talk. Okay, so we're going to be discussing.
I'm ready to go.
We're going to be discussing here now the what Ali thinks the strongest evidences are for. Oh man, I said it. I said evidences. Aaron would kill me.
He
The
will.
strongest evidence.
I'm going to send him that clip
for a flat Earth. And before we do that, let's introduce these gentlemen. Ali, do you want to start first and tell us a little bit about who you are and how you know Steve?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been looking into flat Earth for the last 5 years. I met Steve many, many moons ago. Yeah, and that's basically it. I'm still looking for evidence, conclusive evidence that we're living on a spinning ball, hurtling through space around the sun. So that's
awesome. Welcome back. And Dr. Prothero.
Yeah, my name is Donald Prothero. I'm a professor of geological sciences at California University Polytechnic Pomona. I'm a paleontologist by training, but I've worked on lots of other topics as well, and evolution and climate change, and written books about them. I have 40 books out at the moment, and I've actually done some research on the flat earthers and flat earth thinking, so I guess I can participate.
Excellent. Well, I guess let's, Ali, we're going to go for about an hour. And let's start, Ali, with your strongest piece of evidence. Can you tell us why, like the linchpin that made you decide to go from a globe Earth to a flat Earth?
Well, there was the few things. The one that argued with Fight the Flat Earth last week was the attitude indicator on a aeroplane. And I just see things as flat. I just see them as flat, and then when I look for evidence against it, all I see that the evidence that I've got is pictures from space. The rest of the science and it's all mathematics, assumptions, suppositions, and yeah. So it's basically, it would be attitude indicators plus the lack of evidence that we're actually on a spinning ball flying through space. So that's kind of so.
Okay, Dr. Prothero, do you want to maybe pick his brain a little bit and see if I know you recently did a chapter on flat Earth, so maybe you can see if it lines up with some of the things that you wrote about.
Well, it's actually possible to see the Earth round without being a member of NASA or part of any other great organization. If you're up in a high enough airplane, which most people aren't very often, but if you're up in a high enough airplane, you can see the curvature of the Earth. There's a number of places in an airplane you can do that. The Concorde, and it used to fly all the time at much higher altitudes than most commercial aircraft. All the passengers could see it. On most aircraft that are only flying at 30,000 feet, you can only see it up in the front end where you have a much more panoramic view, a single little window, and the side doesn't let you really catch the perspective. And that's the problem with doing it. But there's some very interesting videos online if you wish to see them. There's one experiment that was done by a group of astronomy and physics students at Birmingham in England, where they put their own little GoPro on a weather balloon and had it rigged up to watch the view as it raised up in the atmosphere. And sure enough, this is not a government organization. They were just students that did this and some amateurs. And they managed to get a very nice video footage continuously. And you can watch it right online of the entire process. As the camera got high enough, the curvature of the Earth became more and more obvious. And then at a certain point, of course, the balloon broke. And the whole package actually, or no, the balloon came back down and they recovered the package as well, but it broadcast continuously. So even amateurs can see the curvature of the Earth if you do it right, which means you have to get up for 40, 50,000 feet before it's really obvious. And that's the problem. Most people are never high enough above the Earth's surface to see the curvature in any clear form. It's really hard to do unless you're really up there. And it does not require any government organization to do that. You don't have to be a member of NASA. You don't have to be a space person at all. You can do it yourself.
What do you think about that, Ellie?
Yep. Okay. Can I address most of the cameras that they put is GoPro, so that gives actually a false image of it when you bring it down.
No, not this thing. It's not a GoPro on this particular thing. They had a high resolution, high quality camera. If you look it up.
Oh, okay. And the height,
not a perspective
the height
issue because the thing is designed to do this.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Cool. But the height that they were going up, I think Neil deGrasse Tyson would argue about that. He's got a great lecture out there that he says that you can't see curvature from an aeroplane. That story about the Concorde, I'm seeing the curve from there, that's just hearsay because there is no evidence for that. So you can't really include that in your evidence. And
I'm sure we can find people who were on the Concorde who could testify to it. There are a lot of them still alive. It wasn't that long ago that it was in the air.
Yeah, but anybody can say anything. That's hardly it can be put forward as a proof perhaps, but it's still hearsay, which is not it's
not hearsay. The witness was actually on the airplane.
Well, it is because they'd be telling you that, so therefore it's second-hand information. You understand? And plus that Neil deGrasse, like Concorde would only go up to, I think it was about 70,000 feet or something, was it? Or 60 or 70,000 feet.
Yeah, it was up to above 70,000. And it records it. You can see it. It's quite well from that altitude.
Yeah, but as I say, you've got pictures of, you've got these high altitude balloons at 110, 120,000 feet, and they don't show any curvature. Whereas you've said that there's one there.
The Birmingham experiment shows it very well, and they were up that high.
Yeah, but out of all there's been more than one that's been up there, and there's loads there that haven't recorded curvature. So, like, if you're being really logical and scientific about it, if you look, there's nothing conclusive about it. So you can't draw a conclusion from that.
I've seen several now, and they're all online. You can watch them yourself. And there are live footages that were recorded, and as you get higher, the curvature is obvious. And maybe people are putting up videos that didn't go high enough, in which case, of course, they're not recording the right things. But the videos of balloons that have risen that high have all clearly shown the curvature.
Well, as I say, I would disagree with that because I could go and troll the internet and find 50 videos of the same thing, high altitude balloons, 110, 120,000 feet, showing no curvature. So we can't, as I say, we can't use that. We can't use any of that as evidence, because for every evidence for, there's evidence against it. So, I mean, it's take your pick.
I would say the evidence is overwhelmingly for. And you're one of these people who believes NASA and all the scientific community is a part of a great conspiracy?
No, I don't. I don't know why we went down it. Well,
then what do you say about space images?
That's kind of early.
For 40 years now.
That's kind of early to start that carry on. A bit early in the debate. I mean, that's the fact is, I do believe we went to the moon, and I do believe we have satellites, and I do believe the ISS is up there. I mean, that's hardly an argument, because I'll agree with everything you say there. So it's
okay. So you don't think
NASA
images are fake then?
Try and insinuate, look, and to try and insinuate that I think there's a big conspiracy over it. It's a bit below the belt there. So.
Well, okay. With that's it. If you agree that NASA.
Yeah, but could I ask you a question, please, Doctor?
Sure.
Dr. Donald. Yeah. What did you actually think, right, the first time that I understand you've wrote a book about it, or you wrote something about it, the flat Earth, yeah?
Yes, I have a chapter in my next book.
All right, cool. I'll look forward to reading that. I'm just wondering, actually, what did you actually first think when you heard there was actually people actually believed that we were living on a flat Earth or a flat plane? What was your?
I couldn't believe it. I'm just interested. Sorry. First, I thought it was a troll. I mean, it was so bizarre. I couldn't imagine it's real. But now I realize there are people who believe that. You know, I'm now talking to one.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But I was just wondering that. It didn't even. Did you wonder why? Did you ever think, why would people possibly come to the conclusion that we lived on a flat plane? What is it you thought about the people that thought about that, or did you not wonder why, or
yeah?
Did you
I actually thought about it quite a bit, and I read about it, and it turns out the polls show the majority of flat earthers are actually very religious and believe that the verses of the Bible prove the earth is flat. I don't know if that describes you or not, but that's where much of flat earthism comes, because literal interpretation of the Bible does say the earth is flat. And then there's a lot of celebrities and athletes have made out of the public news recently also saying the same thing. So I'm not sure which sort of argument has your foundation. Most of the flat earthers I've run into actually are doing it for religious reasons.
Okay, well, that's true. I can understand that. It's quite prevalent in the flat Earth community. Is people that
are you religious?
We call them Bible bashers. We call them Bible bashers in Scotland, as in.
Are you one of those
you're not one of those people that do it.
No,
for
Steve.
Bible, right?
Steve. No, I'm. I, that's the thing. I kind of have. I can't prove either way. So I have to say I don't know. And regarding the flat Earth, I can't prove either way, which is a problem in itself. Because I'm quite honest. You know, I don't want. You know, nobody wants to look stupid or anything like that. But and I've loved science all my life. All my life I've looked at it. You know, maybe I don't understand the mathematics and stuff like that, but always, you know, watched every science program, nature program, the whole lot. I've always been interested in it, and I've always kind of picked information from it. And then suddenly, it was all up for grabs. And then when I was like, well, let me look, and I looked into it, and I found that the evidence for a spinning ball flying through space, it just isn't there. Apart from photographs from space, and that's it. That is all the, and even that's about the best evidence that you've got, actually. Or if you want to go into the metaphysical mathematics or whatever, then, you know, if you want to start using mathematics to describe it, well, mathematics is, to me, it's after the fact. As you observe it, you see a pattern, and you say, right, how am I going to do these mathematics for it? Not to prove it. Yeah, well, that's a fisheye. There's a good one. There's actually, if you look at one when he's inside the capsule, it's just the horizon a straight line, and it actually changes to a curve while he's still inside the capsule. So it's quite funny that, you know.
Did you want to speak on this?
Yeah. So this particular what you're referring to, this is Felix Baumgartner's
Baumgartner.
jump, and it
Yep,
was about
yep.
yeah, from Baumgartner, it's about 128,000 feet, which is, I don't know, about a third of the way to the Kármán line, give or take, which is the limit for outer space. Right, so it's about 20, 24, 25 miles. This was not taken with a fisheye lens. One thing about fisheye lens or lens distortion, anything that has a wide view tends to distort horizontal lines, so you get this barrel effect, right? That curvature is natural curvature. That's not caused by any kind of distortion or lens whatsoever. That's just a regular normal lens taking a picture of that. So how would you explain something like that? Because this is exactly what you're asking about.
Yeah, I mean, was that a normal lens? And also,
yes,
I could look out at that, and I could see that as just as a circle in front of me. So if I was looking out a big circle, it would obviously look curved because the furthest point would be away from me if I was looking like that. And if we see in a certain distance around it, we see in a circle, for example, when we're on the beach, we've got a view in, we can only see 3 miles, 360 or 3.1 miles or something, 360. So if we're looking straight ahead and we see enough, obviously it's going to curve round like that anyway, and can look as if it's going like that. It can still look like that, as if we're curving round. But as again, I will go back to Neil deGrasse Tyson. He even says that Felix Baumgartner, that wasn't curve that you saw there.
Well, hang on. Let me one sec. This picture was from Neil deGrasse Tyson's Twitter feed.
Right.
Directly taken from his Twitter feed.
Well, right, but okay then. But the thing is, he said, and there's video. I wish I'd known we were going to do this. I would have showed you the video of him saying it, that it's impossible to see it from there. He even stipulates.
Well, let me ask Dr. Prothero. Looking at that image that we showed, what would you say about it?
Well, it seems to be up at high enough elevation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a curvature. You won't get that with a fisheye lens because you'll also distort the images in front as well with a fisheye lens, and that's not distorted. So that's clearly not a lens effect.
Right. Okay. There's photographs from inside there that shows it flat as well. So I don't. That's what I'm saying. So I'm getting two different stories, and it's up to me to decide what it is.
What's the other story?
Well, that you're not high enough to see curvature up that height.
You're not. But at that height, you clearly can.
You've got scientists saying that. Well, look, you've got one scientist saying that. You've got Neil deGrasse Tyson being adamant about it.
This is from Neil's timeline. And that's
doesn't matter.
This is from Neil's timeline.
He said, but he spoke the words. He spoke the words saying that there's no way it could be curvature. I don't care what he's changed.
Understand what he was saying?
Well, he is misunderstanding. No, Neil deGrasse Tyson once said. Let me tell the story because Dr. Prothero may not know the story. Neil deGrasse Tyson did say that you would need to have an exceptional amount of height to see the curvature of the Earth. And what he's talking about is an actual curvature that you can visualize with resolution with the eyes, such that you notice this like this. But to see actual curvature, that if you could take a picture and draw a line and kind of check it out visually compared to lower on the Earth to higher on the Earth, then you only need about 40,000 feet, 40 to 60,000 feet. You should be able to see something. Does that sound about right?
Well,
people on the Concorde can see it well. It's 60 to 70,000 feet. So,
yeah.
But that's hearsay, you understand? And then you've got him saying whatever we could argue this point all night, but he never said what you just said there, Steve. He was adamant.
But we know how
he couldn't see.
We know how to interpret it. I mean, do you agree that Dr. Tyson?
Right. Well,
do you agree he is somebody who accepts the round Earth, right? I mean, he is an anti-flat earther. So why are you using him one case as a source, but then ignoring everything else that he's saying? It seems to be cherry picking. Dr. Prothero, would you call that cherry picking? If you have one, if I use you as a source,
say it again.
Oh, if I was
Yeah,
just saying,
he
if I
got in a
used
big
you as a
debate.
source. Sorry, we got a lag. Go ahead.
Yeah. I said he got in a big debate with a rapper by the name of B.O.B., and he did some things around that to clarify what was going on. But of course, he never went very far. The rapper never learned anything. But the bigger thing is that he's taking the issue on, and he's such a prominent scientist. You can misunderstand him if you don't read it carefully, or you may have a garbled version of what he said. But I can't imagine Neil deGrasse Tyson said anything that supports flat earthism.
He didn't.
Well, but you can't imagine that he would say that. It's not an argument for that he did say it.
No, he did
I mean,
say
I
that,
could,
but no. But hang on, let's clarify here. Of course, he
I
said it.
watched the
But
whole
you
lecture.
but you have to understand what
I
he's
watched.
meaning.
I know the context. I know the context. I can understand English, Steve. It is my language. It's not a foreign language to me. And if someone's, how am I meant to understand this? How am I meant to understand this? He did not see curvature from the height he was at. You can't see curvature from there. His exact words. So, what am I meant to interpret that as? If he says that you can't see it, what am I missing? How am I misinterpreting? He never used maths,
Well,
so you
I've
can't say that
already
I don't
explained
understand
it,
the maths.
but maybe Dr. Prothero can explain it better because I've already explained that you can see it from 70,000 feet. You just can't see it with
Have
the
you
type
been
of
up 70,000
curvature
feet?
that you're looking at with the picture I showed you,
Absurd.
which is what Dr. Tyson was referring to, because it does blur into the horizon
Right.
at 40 to 60,000 feet.
No, Steve, it doesn't. I'm sorry. I've been here 5 years. As I say,
Well,
I've been
it
here
does.
I'm not in denial. The thing is, I'm not in denial. I was against it. I was promoting the moon hoax about 3 years ago, and then I actually decided to go back and really, really check into it, actually looking into satellites, and I changed my position on that because I'm honest. And if, as I say, because I found evidence that, wait a minute, they did go to the moon, or satellites do exist and stuff like that, which is totally against it. So I'm being honest with myself. I'm not like cherry picking. As I say, I'm just down to it. Yeah, go on.
Where's that? Where did you say that you? I'm trying to find exactly what Neil deGrasse Tyson said. Did you get that from?
It was a lecture he
There's a
done.
video.
Which one? It was an outdoor lecture, and it was called. I couldn't. I didn't even know. I didn't even know that I was.
Well, I'm gonna look for that.
But
while I do that, tell Dr. Prothero what your feelings are about gravity, because we touched on that last week, but we didn't dive
right, yeah.
too deep into it.
Well, I don't believe gravity's a force. I just feel that. Well, you can't prove it anyway. You know, in any experiment that I've been told to do, just how can you measure gravity when you're already in a gravitational field? But that doesn't matter anyway. That's like a trying to weigh water on a set of scales underwater kind of thing. It's kind of stupid. You know what I mean? The weight of some water. But the point is, with gravity, I just believe it's the weight of an object interacting with its surroundings. If it's heavier, it'll go down. It naturally wants to find its equilibrium. Yeah, go on. So.
Okay, that was everyone thought until Isaac Newton made a better explanation of it. And the point is, because of Isaac Newton's laws of gravity, we are able to do things like go into space. If we didn't have those laws of gravity and the way they predict the way heavenly bodies and satellites and our spacecraft are actually moving, none of this would have ever happened. And I can actually measure gravity anytime I want. In my department, we have a device called a gravimeter, which actually measures how much the earth beneath you is pulling on this spring-loaded device. And you can take it in various places. You can take it on the ground. You can take it in airplanes. And you can actually tell that the earth is denser in some places and less dense in the other because the device is picking up how much gravity is felt beneath it. So it's actually something you can physically measure with a device. It's actually not that complicated. It's routinely done by thousands of my colleagues all the time, all around the world. And if gravity didn't exist, you would have very strange things. If it's a flat Earth and everything is supposed to go down, then everything would be pulled to the center of it. and you'd have pendulums hanging sideways in Australia because it's out in the rim, not in the center of your so-called flat Earth disk. That's something that does not happen. If you ask anyone in Australia, their pendulums hang straight down just like they do anywhere else on the Earth's surface.
Yeah, but that's assuming. See, you're under the presupposition that with gravity on a flat plane, gravity will go to the center. You're saying so you'll have pendulums aiming at the center. Well, where can you find? You can't find the center of a flat plane. I'm just saying it's down. And it'll be universally
that's
down.
The way a lot of flat earthers have talked about gravity as if it's that kind of force, and then it's pulling to the center of a disk rather than pulling to the center of a sphere. And that's the conclusive argument against that way of doing it. If you don't follow that, I can understand. But the point is, we would not be able to go to space without the laws of gravity, and we have successfully predicted various things moving in space astronomically. That's how they predicted the path of comets that were not seen at the time, and all because we understand the laws of gravity. And I know you don't like mathematics, but it's not that hard to do mathematically. I did it in my classes, and you can predict anything you want with gravity, which no system that predates Newton's laws of gravity has ever successfully done.
Yeah, but like for example, you say Newton's gravity, but Newton's gravity is only relevant for down here, right? From within this, whatever we are living in this realm.
Relevant for all bodies, all over the universe. It's all dependent on how far apart things are and how large they are. That's all it takes. Is Newton's law. It's just force is gravitational mass times divided by a square of the distance. It's all you require to calculate the gravity of something. And I do it all the time in my classes and have students do it as well.
Yeah, I thought it was the bending of space time out there. Because Newton's laws are restricted to
very large distances and very large gravities. But for most objects in space, Newtonian math works just fine.
Right. Okay. So, right, you're saying that, right? Now, the planets, the stars, and all that have been looked at for thousands and thousands of years. They predict weather patterns without having their big telescopes or anything like that. You can go back to the Chaldeans or the Egyptians or the Druids or whatever. They actually worked and they studied it way before, and they noticed the patterns, right? This has already been done even before your Galileos or Keplers or Copernicus or whatever, Ptolemy, or all these people, all these scientists, which I will call them scientists because they built their own things. They were experimentalists as well, not people having ideas in their head and extrapolating and doing things that they couldn't ever prove. Right? The stars, the moon, and the stars.
These people were not able to get very far beyond simple observations of where planets and stars were in the sky at a given time. And what Newton's laws did was allowed us to predict where they would be in the future in a way that none of the older ones could do, and also understand things that had not yet happened. For example, Halley's Comet had been witnessed and recorded a few times, and then Halley worked out using Newton's laws of gravity and come again. And of course, it's come every time since then at about the same period, about 85 years apart.
Yeah, but he was getting data. Yeah, but he was getting data that was already being gathered for thousands of years.
Right, but to calculate the path, you're not going to be able to do it just by knowing the spacing of previous things. Those are not that precisely known. He had to actually be able to calculate its real path to successfully predict when it would come again, and he did so, and it's done that ever since then.
Yeah,
it was all done using the mathematics.
The path was already, the path had already been seen 1,000 times before.
Yeah, but the dates on the earlier occurrences were not that precise, and that's how Newtonian gravity used by Halley allowed them to find the future appearances, and they have been right ever since then because they use gravity. That's how we can sling various space vehicles around planets, like we've done that repeatedly now, especially with the various probes that have gone out in the solar system. If we did not have the laws of gravity, none of that would be possible because you cannot calculate where they're going to go unless you understand the physics of how they move. You think that NASA just throws out space and they magically get there where they expect them to be?
No. No, they done all that. They done all that during the 40s and the 50s. They were testing rockets to go up, see if they could get through this so-called barrier or whatever they said that's up there, or they say that's up there. Some kind of barrier that's up there. So we already done that. So, I mean, yep.
The atmosphere just gets thinner and thinner, and then eventually are able to go beyond it. And now we routinely have lots of craft that are up beyond the atmosphere, all of which are responding to gravity as they move around the Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, we would not be able to satellites orbiting us if gravity didn't work.
Ali, so you're referring to the radiation belts, right? The Van Allen radiation belts. Is that your argument?
No, it's not. It's not like no. I'm saying
Barrier.
there's a yeah. It's not a barrier. You've got to crack through it or whatever. But there's definitely a change in the. There's a change, and I believe that's why they go up at an angle, because they fly up at an angle to come in to get out at a certain angle. If they've got to come in at a certain angle, that means they've got to go out at a certain angle as well, and that's why they go out at a certain angle, because there's some kind of barrier. Otherwise, they would go straight up, shortest route and all that. Yeah, poof, straight through.
No, actually, they do go straight up. The space rockets that you see going up are going straight up. Your perspective is wrong when you're on the planet.
No,
they are taking the straightest path out of the atmosphere they can.
They actually hit it at an angle. They have to go at a specific angle.
What he's saying, Ali, he's saying that they're launched straight up. They're launched vertical, but after they reach a certain height, then they start getting to an orbital trajectory to try to get into an insertion.
Yeah, when you go about well, I'll challenge that, because you can go to
really,
you can watch SpaceX. Yeah, of course. Well, I wouldn't say it if I wasn't going to challenge it, but you can challenge it, because if you go to SpaceX and you watch the data that's coming through on it, it'll give you a height, and it'll also give you a distance from the launch, and the distance is always higher. Is always further than the height. Meaning they're going that way. Otherwise, it would be going that way. The height would be
that's what I said.
The height to distance. So they go that way.
Do you know what horizontal is?
Excuse me. What I just said there, I said they leave the atmosphere. They go up at an angle, and they have to leave the atmosphere at an angle. That's what I said. They don't go straight up, right? Meaning there's a reason why you don't go straight up, is because they have to go out at an angle. Otherwise, if we go straight up, that's the shortest way out of this place. Would be straight up.
Well, they are straight up until they reach that trajectory.
No,
then you're going into Earth's orbit.
Go look at the telemetry on it, and you will clearly see it, that it goes further that way, away from where it took off, than it is high. So that tells me it's going at an angle. So it's getting further away quicker than it's getting higher. You can check it. Yep, you check it all out. I know you can laugh away.
You're kind of confirming what we're saying here. That's why we're laughing. I mean,
yeah, but that's what I say. But so where am I wrong then? That's what I'm saying. It is you've got to go up, and they go up. Look, you're telling me that when they launch their rockets, right, they go straight up like that? Yes or no?
Yeah, you would see it when they launch.
No, is that what you say? They're going straight up. No, but. Yeah, they start off like that, but the minute they start going and they move out like that at a certain height, they don't go straight up. They go at a certain height.
Right,
of course, they're going straight up when they take off.
That's because they only take about a minute or so before they're already high enough above the atmosphere. They have to start correcting and getting ready to go into orbit. So they only have to be in a straight up for a very short period of time, because that's how quickly they leave our atmosphere. That's what those rockets are designed to do, get us up very fast.
Right. Yeah, well, we'll have to disagree. I say that they.
What are you disagreeing on?
When they take off, no, excuse me. I'm just saying. You asked me what they done, right? I've told you that they take off, right, and they head at an angle. They start taking an angle because they have to.
After about a minute or so, their trajectory changes.
Angle. Okay,
yeah,
so
because they're already high enough. So why are you laughing at me? To do that. No, I was just saying you're misunderstanding how fast they rise.
But I've just explained it, and you're agreeing with me because you've just said that I agree with you. So if I agree with you, obviously you agree with me because I'm saying the same as
Yeah,
you.
but you're misunderstanding the numbers here. That
I don't
ascent takes
understand.
about a minute to get all the way up into the atmosphere and to the top of it, and then they start to go into orbit. And that's why
No,
you don't realize how quickly they rise above the atmosphere.
As soon as they take off, yeah, they start heading at that. They start moving like that and coming
In
across
about 30
that way.
seconds, they go straight up, and then they start to turn, yes. But they don't turn in the minute they launch. They hit like 30 seconds of straight up trajectory.
All right, maybe I didn't stipulate exactly what I meant there, but I know how rockets take off, and I know they take a trajectory, and I know that they leave the atmosphere at an angle. They don't leave straight up, right? So.
Well, that's because they're going into orbit at that point, so they can circle the Earth.
Exactly.
Or the elevation.
Well, they're going into something, and they have to go at an angle because they can't go straight through like that. They have to. There's a reason why they go at an angle.
If you watch a rocket launch,
it's not to go round there.
Okay, if you watch the rockets that are designed to leave the Earth's orbit, like some of the moon launches, you'll discover they actually go straight up for much longer until they're lost to sight. They're so far away because they don't spend much of any time in the Earth's orbit unless they're being slingshotted around the Earth to reach the moon, which they did on some of those launches. And to leave the Earth's atmosphere, you have to go straight up for a much longer time. And then leaving the Earth altogether, you have to go straight out in order to get into an orbit that will allow you to travel to the moon or to Mars or other places we've now sent spacecraft.
No. I mean, I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all.
Why not?
Well, that's what it is, and there should be footage of some of those launches that go to Mars that show that.
Yeah, but if every single, go and watch it. Well, I don't know. I've watched thousands of launches, man. I was looking. If I have to come on places like this and argue, I have to. Well, I didn't look at anything. I've not studied anything. I'm just going on what I've read before. So it's like, so I know I'm confident enough to know to make that statement that what I said, they have to leave the atmosphere at a certain angle, and they start that angle as soon as they're high enough to start going at that angle, but they do not leave
because they're going into Earth's orbit. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So where's it? There's no controversy here, then, is there? We agree with each other. It's just we're not. You're saying that they go around that way, and I'm disagreeing with that. I say they go around that way when they leave, and that's how they come up.
So
like
okay,
that,
so let me clarify this. So, Ali's saying, okay, so Dr. Prothero is saying that as the rocket will go into a stable orbit around the Earth, it's actually traveling around Earth. Okay, and you're saying that it's traveling horizontally around a flat Earth. That's the orbital insertion.
Yeah, that's an orbital insertion. That's it. That's exactly what I mean. Good one.
So it goes up like this. It goes like this, and then it just kind of goes horizontal and just starts orbiting this way.
That's the way they think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah. No, actually, nobody does. No, they don't actually, Dr. Prothero. They don't actually think that. They don't believe in space. So, no, they don't think like that.
What causes it to orbit? Once it's up there, what causes it to go this way and not fall?
They have no fuel. They aren't pushing themselves.
No, I know they don't. And I know, and they use the Soyuz to correct their trajectory and all that kind of stuff as well. Yeah, I know exactly. They've got and they have very little fuel up there just to check their attitude and all that kind of stuff. But they're floating. It's simple as that. You float when you go up in space. That's not free falling round the planet or anything like that. That's you float up there. Things float in space.
Okay, how about if we try something different here?
No, wait a minute. 1 second. Let me give you a question. Right? One thing then, right? I'll give you. Here we go then, right? So if I go up into space, right, I'm free of all gravitational influences.
No, you're not free of all gravity. It's much less.
There's gravity up there.
Never.
No, how far are we talking? Right. Okay. So where are we talking? I'm talking about a place that's free of any gravitational forces, right? So we're just going to we're going to specifically go into space. Do you believe you float in space?
No.
Yeah, but that's not being completely free of
Not
gravity.
really.
You just
Right,
have
so
very
Steve
low
doesn't-
gravity compared to Earth. But the
You're not-
spacecraft
you're
you're
not-
in,
There's no such
gravity.
thing as a
Finish.
perfect.
Right, wait a minute. Let me finish then. Right, there's no such thing. Well, that can't be proven. But anyway, so say it's possible, right, in the medium up there, right. Say it's possible that you could find a place that there was no a gravitational force, and you had the ability just to stand still.
There
Well,
isn't
look,
any place where there's no gravity.
Right.
Gravity's always there.
You've well, what about the Lagrange points then?
Okay.
Gravity. That's a
Here's another.
nullification point.
Let me change this here. We're getting in circles. I would
you're
ask you to
saying
go look at
why
tomorrow night.
Right. So right. Okay. So right. A Lagrange point. You know what that is? A Lagrange point.
Yes, I know. It's a
Right,
point where
okay,
you
so
have two
there's a satellite.
yeah.
Thank you. Right. Okay. So I would have the ability to have an object go into a Lagrange point and set it there. Yeah. And it'll stay there. It'll
Right,
float.
because the gravity is exactly equal.
There's
And
still
that's
gravity
not
there,
that's
Alex.
not gravity. That's gravity balance.
Here's the
Doesn't
thing.
matter.
Right.
Doesn't matter. It can have gravity because the gravitational forces of whatever's pulling on is negated. So we could say there's no gravitational pull there at all, right? So it's possible to sit an object up there in a Lagrange point, satellites, right, and it will sit there and it will float. Okay.
Let me show you this real quick.
So that right.
It's just what you guys were talking about a second
The right side of the aircraft, looking at the spaceship. The aircraft right now, those of you on the right side of the aircraft, you can see the spaceship.
Wow.
If you on the left side of the aircraft, you can probably see people on the right side of the aircraft looking at the spaceship.
Look. Just how I said.
Can you still see okay?
Yep, thank you. Faster than us.
I know.
Does that
I think that's
That
good.
fits exactly what I just said.
What do you think?
Oh, yeah.
That's it. That fits exactly what I said. Did I not say that? It goes up at an angle. You could clearly see it there.
you both
It
were-
comes up through the cloud.
all
So
of you
the
were saying
first
the
layer
same
of
thing.
cloud. Well,
Yeah, that's what I was trying to.
the first.
He was saying he's agreeing with us, but he doesn't understand the reasoning why on his model it won't work. I mean, it just you
Let me change the subject here.
Sure.
How about
Okay, yeah,
another thing?
yeah, let's move
Tomorrow night, look out at the full moon, and you will watch the Earth's shadow with a curve on the full moon. We're going to have a lunar eclipse coming up tomorrow night, and it's not
That's right,
possible
the
to have that
wolf
curvature without a spherical Earth.
Yeah, but is that the shadow of the Earth? There's a bit of controversy about that.
No,
Not within
it's
your
very clear
science,
it's
because no,
Exactly
because well,
predicted
look,
by the motions of the Earth and the Sun and the Moon. It only makes sense in that physical framework, right? That's why we have full moon and new moon and all the rest, because of the way that moon moves around us and the sun is now behind us when we cast our shadow on the moon, and the shadow will always be curved, and the only way to do that is if the Earth is a sphere. And it's going to be tomorrow night if you want to watch it in real time.
yeah, it's about, I think it's about 10 o'clock or 10:30 tomorrow night over here. I get it. It's a blood moon as well tomorrow night, so it'll be quite a night.
Call it blood
good
moon
event.
because the Earth's atmosphere refracts the red light around it, and that makes the light coming past it reddish. Yes, but that's a classic proof that the Earth has a curvature, as you see it from the shadow we cast on the moon. And it's for everyone to watch tomorrow night, as long as you're up late enough and it's not a cloudy sky.
What do you think about that?
There's no way to do that
well,
with a
that's
disc.
the thing about the. Oh well, actually, it's been shown that you can do that with a disc. So, but I
No,
don't.
not No,
yeah,
your disc is going to be at some other angle at some point, and it will not cast a round shadow. It will be a flatter shadow, okay? And only a sphere casts a round shadow every time.
That's been demonstrated. I'm sorry, that's been demonstrated, but people have replicated that with flat discs and stuff like that. So
How?
I mean,
don't
it's been
believe it.
done. Well, that's fine, but
No.
there's videos out there of people showing it, actually showing with a flat disc showing the crescent on it.
That's CGI.
Showing, but anyway,
No,
That's
no,
CGI.
it doesn't work. Your disc is always traveling
It's
like this.
NASA.
It won't work.
well,
And it
as I
also
say,
doesn't work
it
because
can be
the way the sun and Earth
right, but there's a thing. It can be replicated, right? So therefore, I'm still in a state of confusion.
How? Explain to me.
If
Explain
I-
to us how it could work with a flat disc and not a sphere.
Well, it's been there's videos on the internet. Go and have a look.
I know you've seen videos on it, but explain how. Like, are you just going by because you seen it in a video, or do you understand how it could work? Because those are two very different things.
Oh yeah. But if I see it work, I don't have to understand. If I see it working, right, what's to understand? If I would no, but wait a minute, right? Listen, right? Why should I have to understand that? Why it works? If it works, right? It doesn't matter
But it
whether I
doesn't work.
understand the
you don't
mathematics.
understand it, that you can be fooled by people who are lying. That's why you should understand it.
Right. Exactly.
No,
There you go.
yeah, but I don't feel that I'm being fooled by it.
But Ali, you
And-
don't
and
have
if
a
I
skill
could see a
set.
video-
You said you don't understand it. You've never studied any of this stuff. Would you not agree, though? The three of us here have a little bit better understanding. We can look at things and analyze things a little bit better. If you don't have the basic skill set, then why would
actually,
anybody
no.
give you
You know me
over
better.
someone like
You
Dr.
know me better
Prothero,
than
who is extremely well educated and knows these topics?
The only difference between me and you, and I don't know what Kyle's like with mathematics, but me,
Horrible.
myself, you, and right. Well, I wasn't too bad actually. I done
4
well.
hours
But
to explain pi to him.
the
Okay,
point
so yeah,
is-
let's not go there.
the point is that is using your knowledge because you know mathematics. Because that's the only difference between me and you is you can understand the
No.
mathematics. I don't have to
He
understand
has-
it. If I
Dr.
see, I
Prothero, do
describe
you-
what I see. The
Wait a sec,
mathematics
Dr.
come
Prothero.
after the fact.
Would you agree, Dr. Prothero, that your understanding of geology and physics is more than just mathematically based?
Yes, I can physically see and I can physically demonstrate many of these things without using math at all. And you can do all sorts of experiments that don't require much math to show basic physical phenomena like, for example, the Earth's casting a shadow on the moon. I would ask one more thing. Do you think Antarctica exists?
Yeah, of course it does.
Okay, because
Yeah,
how
I
do you
do.
put Antarctica on a flat Earth?
Well,
I mean, it's got a south pole, right?
Ooh.
right now
And I
there's
have friends who are
there's
down
a bit.
there right now.
Uh-oh.
I have friends who are talking to me by sat phone a few hours ago, and they're right there on the South Pole.
Uh-oh. Kill shot.
Yeah,
Ali.
well, I'm not disputing the fact there's not a South Pole. I do know Antarctica exists, right? There's two things. There's two possibilities with that. It's a continent on itself, but the land goes further, or it's a wall. It's an ice wall around it. That's the two explanations for it on the flat Earth, right? It's either it's part of a. Well, wait a minute. Nobody's ever traversed all the way across, and if you're going to say they have,
Oh, yes, they have.
well, are we going to research?
1911.
No, they haven't. No, they never.
You make all these assertions after there's
check
some
the
fact.
Go check.
They absolutely have.
You muted
We lost
yourself,
his
Ali.
audio.
I'm more interested. Are the penguins armed? That's what I really want to know.
Am I muted?
Well,
Why have
I have friends
were-
who've been to Antarctica and to tell you firsthand, there's no ice wall there anywhere. Mostly
Yeah, we had
very
Landon
flat
Curtin
ice.
call me. Landon Curtin call me from the South Pole on Iridium South phone. Literally call me standing on the South Pole.
And that's on the hangout.
Yes.
Like, he's got video proof of that. Like, that actually happened.
Unless you want to call Landon a
I've
liar.
seen the hangout. Yeah, but I'm not calling him that. I've seen that, and that was a couple of years ago. You were
No,
talking to him.
it was last
I've seen
year.
that.
It was last year.
Last year.
All right, last year, right?
Yeah.
So you've
Well, it
seen
doesn't
it.
matter,
So
but
you
I
know
was-
that it's not an ice wall.
Yeah, he didn't say
that was
walls.
no, but he was standing in a certain space, wasn't he? It wasn't like he says, "Come on, I'll take you around Antarctica," and went how many miles? I don't know how many miles is it? About 20,000 or something.
But you just said
No,
you didn't
not
think he was
20,000.
lying.
Yeah, well, how would he know? How would he know that he was at the South Pole? and that's not even
because
the,
we have
the,
maps
the
and GPS that uses global
And
positioning
photographs.
satellites.
Exactly.
yeah,
And
but
the
wait a minute,
compass
wait a
will
minute.
be the compass will
A
be straight
compass?
down over the south magnetic pole, and that's not possible unless you're on the south magnetic pole.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he never showed that guy. That guy never showed a compass, did he? And if I'm
that-
correct, he wasn't right at the South Pole, Steve.
Satellites do a better job.
Steve, if I'm right, he wasn't
What?
right at the South Pole. If I'm
Oh
correct
no, he
in
was
saying that.
the South Pole moves. There's a I guess there's a actual thing that they put there that has moved over a period of time. He was at the
Yeah,
latest
it's on a
one,
glacier.
but I think he's
Moving. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But he didn't do what, everybody would want to do, is get a compass out and go, hey, look at this. Watch this. Look at that. Which would be
It's sort of
to me would be
pointless to
the
demonstrate it because he's been there.
well, it hasn't
Yeah.
been demonstrated. There's nobody been demonstrated. And I can categorically state nobody has ever went straight across the South Pole.
Well,
Never.
there's
And they
lots
haven't
and lots of
flown
explorers who
over it. Nope. That's what they say, but have a look at the route that they take. Have a look. There's part of the South Pole they don't even they haven't even looked into, the Admiral Byrd, and it's named after his wife. It's named after his wife, and it's a huge stick of land that they haven't, or they haven't been to for some
Well,
reason.
Antarctica is huge, and they don't travel all of it because it's expensive and dangerous, but they've crossed it many, many times.
No, but they haven't went in a linear straight across from one end to the other. They have not done that. They'll go in so far and they'll either turn to the right or turn to the left. And there's plenty of evidence for that.
why
They've never been
do an
right across.
expedition there? You can save up Allie. You can take a bunch of people with you and a bunch of flat earthers, and you know what?
I
Prove
thought
everybody
Kyle
wrong.
was going to have a Patreon for us, a GoFundMe for me and Fight the Flat Earth. I thought he was
Oh,
going
yeah.
We're not.
I was going to.
Well, I'm
by the
not.
way, we've got about.
Get the bottom.
We told Dr. Prothero that we would be an hour. We got about 10 minutes left, just to let you guys know, so you can be winding down your points. I don't want to back Dr. Prothero up, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, my family needs dinner in a few minutes here, so.
Sure.
No, but I appreciate you taking the time. You know, I truly, I would go as I'm honoured actually. I've watched your some of your videos and your presentations and stuff like that. So I'm actually, I sent to Steve. It was kind of half a joke. I thought you would have had someone lined up, and I got an email saying that did I want to come on to debate you, and I did, because I'm always interested in meeting people. I wish it was under different circumstances, and we could have maybe had a discussion about other things that I'd be really interested in learning about, stuff that I don't know about that I would like to learn. But unfortunately, this is a debate or anything, something like that. But I'm.
We don't want to call it a debate.
It's going to be a globe earther for too long.
Well, a discussion. Yeah, I know, and it kind of goes dead with me, because I like to discuss it. So I suppose it's not very entertaining.
Let's see how you did on bingo real quick. Steve, let's see. Massive conspiracy you got. Moon landing we checked off.
Oh, you buggers.
Photoshop. Yeah. We got the firmament we got, maybe. The sun we got.
We
CGI,
never got Photoshop.
You got fisheye lens. Fisheye lens. You got you got about 10 of them. So not bad.
Van Allen belts. I had to get him on that one. The Van Allen belts, right?
Yeah, but there was no CGI. There was no CGI. I never said CGI. I never mentioned once. So.
Yeah, you didn't say turtles all the way down.
I think there's a few falsities. No, I think you've taken too many. You've taken too many. I didn't mention that that many. Actually, I don't think
Allie,
I've
let me ask you
mentioned one.
If you want to,
sure.
if you want to learn these things, why don't you go enroll in a few courses and basically learn some kinematics and learn some mathematics? Because you, quite honestly, I don't mean any disrespect to you. You're a nice guy, and I've known you a very long time. You're never going to understand these things properly unless you have a foundation of them. It's just not possible for you. You have to go take these courses if you want to learn why you are fundamentally wrong on literally everything you've said, especially things along the lines of floating in space. First of all, let me finish. You don't float in space because there's no gravity. You float in, you're quote unquote floating in space because you're in free fall conditions, right? There's gravity up there. Matter of fact, if you were not moving, you would be standing on the bottom of your spaceship because gravity would be pulling you down. It'd be less, of course, and a gravity meter could detect something along those lines, but there'd be enough gravity to keep you to the floor of the spaceship. The reason why you are floating around is just because you happen to be falling at the same rate the Earth is curving, because the Earth is curved. Now, if you take a course in kinematics, you can learn on the mathematics to actually demonstrate that for yourself, as the rest of us already have.
Yeah, but I don't need to take. Look, it's for the people that are educated to explain it to me. And I've seen. And look, I don't watch Jeranism. I don't watch Jeranism because they're very good at explaining things because they're teachers, Steve. So they teach with words and understand English. If someone describes, look, if someone says, "Hey, by the way, that's a brown dog over there, and that dog bites." I don't need mathematics. That guy knows better than I do, so I won't go there. So I
and the guy just doesn't know the difference between a dog and a bear.
But when you take the classes, you can prove it to yourself.
Then I've got a problem.
Right,
I don't need to. I've got people there to teach.
But like for example, if Dr. Prothero wanted to demonstrate something to himself, he could show himself using the math and the physics, right? And then he knows that it's correct, right? Because he studied the materials. You could do the same thing. Anybody who's studied kinematics could do this.
It works.
Yes,
but I don't have access to a state of the art laboratory where I would have to get all these high equipment to test my theory, because the theory has to be tested. Equipment has to be built to test your theory. You can't say, "Oh, the speed of light's that," and then do mathematics and that. You have to have an experiment. You have to have some kind of apparatus. You have to test it. You have to test your hypothesis, right? So I don't have access. I do not have access to a state of the art laboratory that these people have now. If you're going to say, "Oh, that's absurdity,"
let's do our last minute statements real quick, because we do have to be letting Dr. Prothero go so we can be with his family. Allie, do you want to make a final statement and plug anything you got coming up, anything like that?
No, I don't really have much action happening on my. This is the only action I get. But well, I'd just like to thank once again you guys for letting me come on, try and put my point across. I've got to thank, especially thank Dr. Donald there, or Dr. Prothero, for actually taking the time out and being bothered to actually entertain me. And I would like to have another chat, but about other stuff. There's stuff, I've got loads of questions, and not gotchas or conspiracy theories, because I'm very interested in nature and how it works. As I say, there's lots of things I agree with in science. There's loads of stuff I agree with in science, and I can see it and it makes sense. Mathematically, fantastic. But as I say, there's a problem. Maybe I'm demanding too much evidence. Maybe that's it. And I don't accept mathematics as a descriptive language. That's all it is. Of
There's
something.
no for you yet,
so you've observed something.
Yeah,
sorry, one last thing.
We'll have you a globe earther in no time. Dr. Prothero, do you want to take a second and talk about your latest book? Anything you've got coming up? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, the stuff we were just talking about is in a book that should be appearing late this year, I hope. It's called Weird Earth by Indiana University Press. And it talks about flat earthers and geocentrists and various weird creationist ideas about the age of the Earth, and almost everything. It's bizarre that people have thought about the Earth that's pretty well been addressed. And I try in that book something which might help Allie a bit. I try in that book to not just talk about what people have said and what the arguments are, but in the final part of each chapter, I actually say these are experiments that either you can do yourself or you can look up or have been done by many other people. For example, if you wanted to, you could do the famous experiment by Eratosthenes that proved the Earth was round way back from the 5th century BC. Take an air flight from someplace very far north or south and vice versa, and put a straight stick in the ground and measure its shadow. And you yourself can see the shadow will change length as you travel north-south on the Earth, which is only possible if the Earth is a sphere. So there are things you can do yourself without high technology, and I described some of those in that book.
Excellent.
All right, okay, that's good. When is it coming out? When is the book actually coming out?
I sent the book to my publisher about 2 weeks ago for review, so it's probably late this year or early next year. It just takes them a while.
How many books have you authored? Just curious, Dr. Prothero.
That'll be book 42. My 41st is coming out in a couple months.
Excellent.
How many you got, Ali?
Okay.
How many books you wrote?
Oh, well, I've read a few. I've read a few books.
Go ahead, Ali.
That's funny.
Ali, make it quick
No,
though, because we've got to be letting him go. So make it quick.
Oh damn. Oh right, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was kind of a long question. It was a really good one, but
Okay, well, save it.
I'd like to
save it for the next time. Cool. All right. Thank you both for joining us. This was awesome, especially Dr. Prothero for entertaining us with having a discussion with Flat Earth. I'm really glad that you came in and did this, and we will see you guys after in about 40 minutes. It's scheduled to start at 10. We might start a little bit early since we're actually making really good time for once, and we'll be back with Godless Engineer, Fight the Flat Earth, and Edgewise, and we will see if we can finally put a finger on these dragons of Africa. So you don't want to miss it. So we'll see you in a few.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
All right, let's do this.
All right. Well, thanks, Steve and Kyle, and I'll. Yeah.
Sure, man.
Take it easy. Have a.
All right, man. I think we're still.
Hey, goodbye.
All right.
Oh, are we?
You're good. You're good. Thanks, man.
All right. Okay. Good night. Good night.
Thanks, Alex. Good night.